Hello, and welcome back to my book of Missionary Life with Billy and Joe Wilson. Today I will be reading chapter 17. The first week of the new year, 2004, we had made wonderful memories of my mother's home in Alabama on our visit. But coming back to Texas, I began to think of all the things that needed to be done before returning to Rwanda in just a few months. The Lord always renewed our calling each time it was time to go back, giving us the power and the desire to do what pleased the Lord, as it says in Philippians 2:13. By now, it was May, and we would be going back to Rwanda in June. Even though I had made my last visit to see my mother, or so I thought, I tried to talk to her several times a week on the telephone. I remember speaking with her in early May, and she was doing so well. But on May the 8th, she was outside, sitting on her porch swing, waiting for my sister, who was on her way over for a visit, when we think she stood up and either passed out and fell, or she may have tripped and fallen. We're not sure. My sister Becky found her and called the ambulance. She had broken her arm and bruised her face and body badly. She was unable to move until the ambulance arrived. Because she may need surgery on her arm and the damage that the fall had done to her, she was facing several days in the hospital. So when I received the call, me, my sister Wanda, and my brother Bob decided we should make the trip to Alabama and see her. She was never the same. Most of the time, she was confused and, of course, in a lot of pain. During this time, she became unable to walk and take care of herself. So we did what no family ever wants to do, but we had no choice to put her in a nursing home where she would eventually get better with therapy and daily constant care, or spend her last days. Sadly, but with the help of the Lord and the verse I just read in Philippians, I went back to Texas and we prepared to leave for Rwanda. We had only been back in Rwanda a few weeks when one Saturday morning I turned on my computer. There was a message from my sister telling me that Mother had went into respiratory arrest and was not expected to make it through the night. We had international flights in and out of Rwanda several times a week, and it just so happened that there was a flight out that night. Billy told me to go and start packing, and he would go to the travel agency in town to see if he could purchase a ticket for me for that night's flight. If I could leave that night, which was Saturday, I could be in Birmingham, Alabama by Sunday night. My father had passed away in 1988, and I had not been able to return for his funeral. Since then, I had begged the Lord to allow me to be at my mother's funeral. It looked like that heart desire was going to come true for me. Billy could not go with me, so I flew out that night all alone. When I arrived Sunday night, Mom had been in a coma, but as I leaned over her and called her name to tell her that I was there, she opened her eyes and she looked right at me. She tried her best to say something before falling back into her coma. with one tear running down her face and many tears running down mine, I told her Jesus was coming to take her home and for her to just go with him, and that we were all going to be okay, and we would all meet her someday soon in heaven. That was about midnight. But about 9 a.m. the next morning, as all her children but one stood around her bed, she opened her eyes, shrugged her one shoulder, and she was gone. The presence of the Lord was so real in that room at that moment. You could almost see her go into the arms of Jesus. Yes, we were sad to lose her, but the presence of the Lord was so strong in that room. We all had our hands raised, and instead of crying for her, we were all rejoicing because of the Lord's presence felt in that room. She had been suffering since May the 8th in pain and confusion, but now she was free and with her Lord and Savior. My brother Bob was not able to be there for Mom's homegoing because of his illness, and in fact, he went to be with the Lord only a year and a half later. I was unable to be there for his funeral, but they were able to video the service and mail the tape to me. That was before we had online streaming. But once again, the Lord gave me peace because I was not able to attend his funeral, but I had so many wonderful memories of the sweetest brother that anyone could ever have. He was a minister. He loved to sing. He wrote many poems. He loved his Lord, his wife, his 4 boys, and his cars, in that order. I miss him to this day. He left instruction and money for a church to be built in Rwanda. His wife, Anne, still contributes to that church in his honor every chance she gets. The reason that I told the story of my mother's homegoing and my brother's is to explain to you, if I can, just how much God cares about every detail of our lives. He knows how much I loved my mother and my brother. He also knows how much I love him. And because I honor him, I believe he blessed me by allowing me to be at my mother's side when she passed away, and by the peace and the comfort he gave to me when I could not be there for my brother's homegoing. We also had a grandbaby that passed away from sudden infant death, 3 months old, our son Jason's firstborn. We lived in Rwanda during this time, and once again, the Lord allowed us and made it easy to get a flight out the day that we heard of his passing. No sorrow has been more than we could bear. God was so near at all times. After all this happened, life, work, and ministry continued in Rwanda.